In the shadow of a love that promised eternity, a single seed of doubt was sown. It was not born of hatred, but of a question whispered in the silence of a troubled heart. What is the true price of devotion? This is the story of a man who walked beside divinity, yet chose a path paved with silver and sorrow. This is the memory of Judas. He was a keeper of the common purse, a man of practical mind in a circle of dreamers. He saw the hungry mouths, the weary feet, the world's endless need, and waited against the whispers of a kingdom not of this earth. He listened to words of sparrows and lily, of treasures in heaven, but his gaze remained fixed on the dust of the road, the gleam of a Roman coin. The teacher spoke of a love that transcends the world, a faith that moves mountains. But Judas? Judas saw a mountain of need that love alone did not seem to feed. Was it greed? Or was it a desperate, broken kind of love? A love that believed it knew better, a love that sought to force the hand of destiny. Perhaps he thought a dramatic arrest, a show of divine power, would finally awaken the world. He imagined legions of angels descending, a throne claimed, and the earthly kingdom his teacher deserved finally established. In his mind, the 30 pieces of silver were not a price for betrayal, but a catalyst for glory. A small necessary cost for a magnificent, world-changing miracle. He saw the teacher, his friend, heal the sick with a touch, calm the storm with a word. How could such power be bound by mere mortal chains? He saw a king, not a lamb, a conqueror, not a sacrifice. So, in the moonlit quiet of Gethsemane, surrounded by olive trees that had stood for centuries, he made his choice. He approached with a kiss, the customary greeting of a disciple, a sign of affection. But this kiss was a key, designed to unlock a cage, believing a lion would emerge. The soldiers came, their armor glinting, their voices rough. Judas stepped back, his heart pounding, waiting for the sky to tear open. He waited for the flash of divine fire, for the ground to tremble, for the legions of heaven to answer the call of their king. But there was only ... silence. The teacher did not resist. He looked at Judas, not with anger, not with shock, but with an ancient, knowing sadness. In that gaze, Judas saw not a king dethroned, but a love he had fatally misunderstood. The silence that followed was louder than any battle cry. The miracle he had gambled on did not come. The power he had sought to unleash remained sheathed in humility. The world did not bow, it jeered. In that moment, the silver in his pouch grew impossibly heavy, each coin a searing brand against his skin. It was not the price of a kingdom. It was the fee for a soul. He ran, the coins clinking a rhythm of his dawning horror. He ran back to the priests, the men who had paid him. He threw the silver at their feet, the metal scattering across the stone floor with a hollow, empty sound. "I have sinned," he cried, his voice cracking, "for I have betrayed innocent blood." But their faces were stone. "What is that to us?" They answered. "See to that yourself." His calculated risk, his grand, misguided plan, had been nothing more than a minor transaction to them. He was a tool, now discarded. He was utterly alone. The teacher he had followed, the friend he had loved, was on a path to a cross, a path Judas himself had paved. The comrades he had shared bread with now saw him only as a phantom, a walking embodiment of their deepest fears. He had tried to control destiny, to shape divinity to his own earthly understanding, and in doing so, he had become a ghost in his own life. He wandered into the field his blood money would later buy a potter's field, a place for burying strangers. He looked at his hands, the same hands that had distributed bread to the multitudes, the same hands that had counted the silver. They were empty. The love he had tried to force had become a love he had lost forever. The kingdom he had tried to build on earth had cost him his place in the one promised in heaven. The silence of God was his only answer. And so his story ended, not with the glory he had envisioned, but in the desolate quiet of a field of clay. A tragic monument to a faith that faltered, a love that became twisted by fear and a misunderstanding of power. But what of us who now look back across 2,000 years? We see the silver, we see the kiss, we see the tragic end. It is easy to cast Judas as a monster, a simple villain in a divine play. But in his shadow, do we not see a flicker of ourselves? Have we never tried to force a situation to our will, convinced we know best? Have we never mistaken control for faith, or measured the infinite with a finite human ruler? Judas's story is not just a tale of betrayal, but a timeless warning. It is a mirror reflecting our own human frailty, our desire to see proof, to demand signs, to shape the divine into an image we can comprehend. He sought a king for the world, and in doing so, missed the savior of the soul. He wanted a crown of gold, and did not understand the purpose of a crown of thorns. Yet, even in this darkest of stories, a sliver of light persists. The betrayal did not halt the dawn. The sacrifice was not prevented. The love that Judas misunderstood proved itself more powerful than any act of betrayal. It teaches us that faith is not about forcing God's hand, but about opening our own. It is about trust, especially in the silence. It is about understanding that true power is not found in legions of angels, but in the quiet, unyielding strength of forgiveness and unconditional love. The story of Judas is a heavy stone in the river of time, but the water of grace flows on. It reminds us that even from our most profound failures, our deepest betrayals, the path to redemption is never truly closed. For the light he tried to control was a light that could not be extinguished, a light that shines brightest not in displays of power, but in the quiet, radical act of sacrifice. And it is this light that continues to offer rebirth, even to the most broken of hearts. Thank you for walking with us through this story. If these journeys into the heart of faith and myth resonate with you, consider subscribing to God Story Reborn. There are countless tales of light and shadow waiting to be told.